My name is Daniela. Um, I'll be going over climate change and livestock. Um, Today I'll be discussing how climate changes is impacting livestock farming. A topic that sits with me is the intersection of agriculture and climate science and economics and food security. This slide basically just talks about me. Um, some facts about me is that I grew up in Laredo, Texas, which is 2 hours, I say, from here. Not that far. Some Another fact about me is that I was born in San Antonio, Texas, which is 2 hours away from Laredo. So yeah. A little about me is that I went to Melton Elementary, and then from there I went to Lamar Middle School, and then from there I went to J.W. Nixon High School. Then from there I went to Laredo College, where I got my two associates, and one of them is for Homeland Security, and the second one is for general science. Um, and from there I went to pursue my bachelor's. Where I am right now is in Texas A&M University of Kingsville. I am in pursuing my bachelor's in general agriculture. So, yeah. And another fun fact about me by me is that my middle name is Star. So, yeah, I like to be called Star. Let's see. And this um, slide is the objectives of this research, which is identifying and analyzing climate change impacts and understanding the economic implications, and look at the economic consequences and climate change on farming, income, reduction, and cost. Last but not least is assessing adaptation strategies. This one is just talking about the like how it goes through different um, how you say it different systems it goes through. Livestock systems are like a vital part of a vital part of global food supply and supporting livelihoods. It supports almost 1.3 million people, especially in the developing regions. But they also have unique vulnerabilities to the climate disruption. It also says there in this little chart that I made, it has rising temperatures, extreme weather, and shifting rainfall patterns, and the increase of disease pressures are all changing how animals are living, growing, and producing. Let's see. The introduction would just be talking on like the different like challenges that livestock systems go through. I would start off with the like how I said, the rising temperatures, the extreme weather events disrupting livestock farming. Like one of them is heat stress and animal health. One of the most direct effects of climate change on livestock is heat stress. As the average global temperature rises, livestock increasingly exposes to temperatures outside their thermal comfort zones, such as cattle, sheep, goats, chickens, cows, suffer from elevated body temperatures, which reduces their appetite and decreases their mobility. Heat stress also reduces the immune function, making animals more suitable to infections and parasites. Which another one causes psychological stress. For example, cows under heat stress produce less milk, which is economic, not good for the systems. Um, In poultry, the overheating can cause death, especially in closed housing with poor ventilation. So all these factors come into play on the cost of livestock, and which comes to a play in the economic issue. Again, these are the effects of the livestock health. Um, Heat stress reduces feed intake, growth, and fertility. Um, as I said, it reduces their reproductive systems, which is um, their milk can take effect on that, which is not good for us. And milk is one of the most selling products in the world. In case climate changes affects it, our milk goes down. The next slide I'll be talking about is feed and water availability. Um, let's see. Reduce forages quality and yield due to droughts, higher competition and water between sectors, increase feed costs and supply chain disruptions. Let's see. That that's another major factor that impacts is the availability of feed and water. The erratic rainfall and frequent droughts reducing the quality and quantity of pasture. Farmers are forced to buy supplemental feed, which is increasing the operating cost. In the regions where the prolonging drought, competition for water between livestock and crop intensifies. This dynamic threatens the viability of traditional livestock systems, especially those based on grazing. The higher temperatures lead to faster evaporation on the surface waters of drying up the ponds and streams, which makes them not have enough water. This slide talks about the productivity and reproductive not systems, reproductive. Um, it talks about lower milk, meat, and egg production under the thermal stress, the declining of reproductive efficiency in cattle and poultry, and the seasonal breeding cycles disrupted by the climate variability. Livestock is exposed to so many environmental stressors, especially the heat and poor nutrition, experiencing a major drops in reproductive performance. One major one is fertility rates. They drop such a such a high number, especially in cattle and pigs. The offsprings and mortality increases due to the weaker pregnancies, higher birth complications. Um, Lower feed quality and water intake also is reduced growth rates and meat yield. The milk production declines during the heat waves, droughts, even and well managed farms. This means a lower return on the investment of the farmers and increased instability in the food chain supply. So there wouldn't be any more milk, so they make it cost even more, which is not efficient for us. That's one of the impacts that this has on livestock. This slide, I will be talking about the economic sustainability and social consequences. The higher production costs due to the cooling feed and vet services. Then smaller farmers face a greater financial risk, market and insurance limitations. So this means the physical impact translates directly to economic stress. The livestock producers faces cost higher costs for veterinary care, feeding, cooling systems, and infiltration upgrades. Many smallholders, especially in Africa, Asia, do not have the capital or access to these resources. As productivity fails, income and food security decline, especially in rural households. They rely on heavy on livestock, meat, milk, labor, and even jewelry or social status. As they said, some of them always rely on those big things. In these extreme cases, the entire community are forced to migrate, leading to climate induced displacement. As well as the whole community cannot always just leave and migrate. It takes a lot. So the impact on the climate change makes it a big deal. Climate change does not just affect the animals. It threatens the entire agriculture economics, especially in people. Like we all are always, how do you say, there's another word for it. There's always a place for us in the agriculture. Like we eat and then they eat. They're all chained up together. They're all in one, as I can say it. I probably have it in different words. I could probably explain it more when I'm, not more, but like I'll I remember how to explain it later. Um, this slide we'll be talking about the regional differences. The tropical regions face more intense heat and disease burdens. Developing countries lack adaptation infrastructure. Um, Variations in species, resilience, and resources access. The impacts are not just uniform. For example, in developed countries such as the USA or Australia, farmers can invest on cooling systems and climate resilient infrastructures. Um, but in contrast, developing countries are often limited in their adaptation capacity and face harsher consequences with fewer resources. This creates a climate equality gap where those who contribute at least climate change suffer the most from its effects. So you can see in this picture how much percentage the climate changes is affecting them in their different regions. This is just in the USA. Imagine in the different countries, because different countries always have different different weather. So they're all affected. Some are affected worse than the others. So we always have to keep that in play. Next slide, which be the adaptation and strategies. Some strategies would be breed selection for heat tolerance and disease resistance, improve housings and ventilation and water management, policy support, insurance, and farmer education. So, despite all these challenges, there are so many promising solutions. Um, One solution would be genetic selection for heat tolerance and disease resilient breeds. Um, like in the first pinpoint, it's talking about the heat tolerance and disease resistant breeds. Um, the second solution would be rotational grazing and several more pasture systems that improve forage and reduce land degradation. The third solution I would think of would be water harvesting technologies, would be to improve the drought resilience. The fourth one would be mobile apps, forecasting tools that help the farmers at least plan and ahead for heat waves and rainfall. So that one would be a really good solution. They have the app to see if there is going to be certain heat or certain weather that is coming their way. Um, the fifth solution will be stronger government policies and subsidies to support adaptation investments. However, the success of these solutions depends on accessing the funding, education, and political will. So all these solutions come into play, but not all of them will take effect. You can see there are so many impacts on the livestock in this little triangular picture. So, yeah. Last but not least, um, we'll be talking about the conclusion. Climate change critically affects all aspects of livestock family. Adaptation is essential for sustainability and food security. And oh, I switched it. Which I oops. Well, sorry. I have it here in my mind. Well, in conclusion, the effects of climate change on livestock farming are complex and far reaching. These effects on animals' health and productivity and reproduction and economics are particularly in vulnerable regions. To build a resilient livestock system, we have to invest in climate smart agriculture, empower local farmers, and pursue the global cooperation to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions and support an adaptation worldwide. And this was my PowerPoint, and thank you for listening. I am Daniela, and I hope you really enjoyed your video or presentation.